So happy New Year, everybody. Hope everybody's off to a fantastic start. I know that things over here are going pretty good. Had a nice 10 days off and came back rested and recharged. And the day of reorientation, I'm back and ready to go. So today, what we want to do is to talk about niche. And, I'm a giant fan of niches. I've been in building several businesses within niches over the years. I think it's a fantastic way to really get ahead, faster than the average advisor. And so let's jump in. Let's just jump in and talk about that. We still got people coming in here. Um, what are we going to do today? Really, I have two goals today. One is to build niche opportunity awareness. Okay, that's why you're all here, I think. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm, also, just so you know, I mean, no hidden agendas here. I've got several advisors already who want to get a niche mastermind group started in February. I'm looking for a few more. So I'm looking for people who really want to grow fast, people who are thinking that the niche is the way to get there. And if you're one of those people, as we get to the end of the presentation, you'll see there's an opportunity to schedule a call. And if it's right for you, fantastic. If not, I hope you get what you need to out of this presentation. Also, I'm starting something new here in 2026. I did it once last year. I did office hours where people can just come in and ask questions. So if you're not ready to join a group, but occasionally have questions, feel free to join those office hours. They'll be posted and promoted.
Mhm.
So yeah. And also, I think if you have a question, just unmute yourself and jump in. Uh, I don't mind you interrupting me. And otherwise, if you don't have a question, just maybe stay on mute in case there's any background noise in your office. Okay. A little bit about me. For those of you who don't know, I've coached at Pareto for like 10 years. I've coached people from with $30 million in assets up to, I think my largest team is about 8 billion now, maybe 9 billion, and everybody in between. And I love it. Most of my coaching is one-on-one coaching, one coach, one team. But a couple years ago, I started to do some group coaching, and I love the interaction of the different businesses coming together and bringing their different expertise and their different things that they've done that have been successful and maybe sometimes not so successful, but we learn from those things too. Um, and I just love that interaction. So I've started to formalize this as Pareto Masterminds. I have a divorce group going now. I have an M&A group going now. Looking to start the niche group. Going to start another group early in the year for people who are at a million who want to get to 2 million in revenue. So I just love that group setting, and it's also it's kind of an easy way to get in. Costs are a lot lower than one-on-one coaching, but for me, it's just really energizing being around that kind of that kind of a group. So before that, I ran my own business. I sold life insurance to rich people. Um, that was a niche opportunity too. We only worked with people that had 50 million or more. My background was as a tax lawyer, and so I brought expertise and capability to that. But it was the ability to stay rigid in that niche and not take people at less than 50 million that made us a successful business. We can talk about that maybe if there's a little bit of time. But my experience with niches, I've created three different businesses with niches. I've worked with advisors who've created niche businesses. I think it's a fantastic way to accelerate. Okay, why is that? All right, first of all, specialization is differentiation. Okay, there's probably a lot of different ways to make yourself look different in the marketplace, but I think one of the most accessible ways is through niche marketing. Okay, being the best in a particular area to me is the easiest way to accelerate. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but this is what I mean when I say niche focused advisors grow faster. Okay, there's research out there. It's in my white paper. You can get it on our website. There's research out there that substantiates the idea that if you're in a niche and you obviously if you are executing well in that niche, you're going to grow a lot faster than a generalist. So to me, that's the most compelling reason to be in a niche. But um, other things that you'll see is that the opportunity is here because a lot of advisors insist on being generalists. I don't know if it's a fear of missing out or what, but people are just afraid of being narrow. And so again, I think that's a big blue ocean.
Summer, hi. I just received a new just
Hello? Okay. So yeah, again, just if you don't have a question, just go on mute. So that way you can do what you need to do in your office. Okay. Again, I know a lot of generalist advisors who do really well, but I also know that I know a lot of people who have done even better by being in niches. And so I see a lot of top performers, and you all probably may have seen them too, who are just really, really effective in their niche. Okay, so for me, the goal is own the niche, dominate, like be the best in your community, whatever your community means. Could even be national, but whatever that community is, be the best. Okay, in the mastermind, we have a promise. So if you're in the group, we have a promise to everybody who's a member that does the work. If you don't do the work, the promise doesn't apply. The guarantee doesn't apply. But if you do the work and you go in a mastermind group, our goal is you know your profitable niche. You've identified it. You know it better than anybody else. You've got crystal clear value proposition, okay, and messaging so that your marketing can be much more targeted, much less expensive, and much more effective, which I talk about in the next bullet. So I'm just going to skip that. You build a reputation as the go-to advisor. Okay, so one of the things I did was becoming an estate planning attorney specialist. Could I do divorce? Could I do real estate? Could I do all these other things? Yes, I could. But I was able to build a practice way faster by focusing it on one thing. I became the person in my community who did estate planning at a very high level. So other people did estate planning in my community, no question. But if you asked anybody in the community who's the best estate planner, my name would have been on the list. I'm not bragging, it was intentional. Okay, and you can do exactly the same thing. Okay, and last thing, revenue grows faster with less stress. I'm going to talk to you about why that is. But again, that's a promise. If you're in the mastermind group and you do this, or if you do this on your own, I guarantee you'll have less stress and you'll make more money. Okay, so along with opportunities, problems. Okay, what are advisors facing? Some of you on this call may or may not be facing all or some of these problems. If you're not facing any of these problems, then maybe a different group is for you. I don't know. But most advisors that come into Pareto, most advisors that I talked to over the years, they've had good businesses, but consistently one thing they've said is, I don't know where my next client's coming from. It's always a mystery to me where clients come from. So again, I don't know if that resonates, but I've heard it enough that it's got to be pretty widespread feeling. A niche can help you with that, right? Generic marketing. I see it all the time. Some of you may be doing this. I hope not, but I see it all the time where advisors are posting things on LinkedIn or posting things on Facebook. They're just, I, I don't know why, maybe they hired a marketing company or something, but I don't know why they're doing it. Like nobody's going to look at a Facebook post for, your thoughts on the markets. I mean, just it's irrelevant. That's not why they come on Facebook. But nonetheless, I see it every day, all the time. It's crazy. So the marketing is costing money, and I just don't think it's effective. And there's no way to test effectiveness either. So, um, again, if you're not in a niche, I think that's a problem that you face. Capacity issues. People who are not in niches, I hear this again quite often. Everybody says work on the business, but who has the time? Okay, and one of the reasons you don't have the time is because you've got too many things going on, too many different directions. One day you're working on somebody who might be an airline pilot. The next day you're working on somebody who might be a corporate executive. Next day somebody who's selling their business. I mean, it's all good to have that kind of activity and opportunity, and that kind of those clients. But the problem is they're all different. So you need slightly different systems, you need different knowledge, you need, right? So everybody knows what I'm talking about. Um, you're just run ragged, and a niche can help you solve that problem. The last thing is really hard to build systems. When you're doing something different every day, even in different parts of the day, it's hard to build systems, and it's easy to get overwhelmed, and it's easy to see bottlenecks. Maybe they're not so much for you, but for your team. And when your team is spending time on fixing problems, they're not they're not creating client experience. And we all know that a great client experience is what creates introductions and referrals. So again, these are the kind of things that I would be looking for if I were looking inside my business, looking for ways to improve. Okay, for those of you who would come into a mastermind program, these are the things we work on. I'm going to have a little bit more detail later on in the presentation, but those people who are not coming into a program like that, these are the things that I suggest that, this is like a script to kind of follow. Define your niche. Um, we're going to be sending out an email after this, and I've done this program before. We've sent out sort of our worksheet that we use in the mastermind group that we use to help people get clarity on their niches. So we'll send that out. That'll help you to define your niche. This is the first thing, though. You want to figure out, am I going to be helping women go through a divorce? Am I going to be helping people who are exiting from their business? Am I going to be helping people who have high net worth problems? So people who have $30 million or more in assets. Who am I helping? Who am I working with? Okay, let's define that first. Once you do that, and some of you may have natural niches, okay? Things that you already know that you've got clients in, maybe they're in a particular business or corporation and you handle a lot of the benefits and you know about all their stock option plans and everything. That's a perfect niche to be in. Okay, so some of you may already have good clues or even good ideas in terms of where you want to focus, but getting really clear on who it is, critical. Next step in the process is to build repeatable processes. So things can be done over and over again. There's an advisor that I work with who's in the divorce area and has built fantastic systems and processes over the last couple of years to the point where he does not need to be involved in the actual ongoing operation of the business. His role is largely business development, which is what he loves to do. Relationship and business development. Once the client comes in, he's done. He's on to the next one. He owns the firm. I mean, it's a very, very successful operation now. But he only does the things he wants because he's got repeatable processes that can happen over and over again. Next step, create a client fit process. Okay, this is just to make sure that nobody sneaks into your business that you don't want there. Okay, and I know you probably already have good filters, like for people who that you don't want to deal with because they're a pain in the neck. But you also want to be thinking about fit from the standpoint of what happens when a client that has a good amount of assets comes in, maybe has some complexity and some problems that's outside of your niche. Should you take them, right? Well, totally up to you, right? But if you're in the divorce niche and somebody comes in and says, I'm selling a business for 20 million, you're going to be tempted, right? I would be tempted. Anybody would be tempted, right? But just think about how disruptive that could be to your practice, to your team, to your processes, right? So even though they might be interesting from a revenue point of view, they may be disruptive, so disruptive that it's not worth it. That's what I mean by fit process. So creating a client fit process to make sure that you're screening out people that you might otherwise be tempted to take, but who are really ultimately disruptors of your business and ultimately your personal life. Okay, next step, market with clarity. Okay, so marketing, to be effective, you have to know who you're marketing to, right? If you're trying to market to everybody, try to be all things to all people, that is just such a diffuse strategy that it's unlikely to work. It's hard enough when you know who you're marketing to make that successful, right? You got to be persistent, consistent. Your messages have to be clear. They have to be targeted right to the person that you want to talk to. And you have to make sure that your pathways to that person are clear. Okay, that you're sending your messages in the right place. So if you think you're marketing on LinkedIn and Facebook, but all your people would be on LinkedIn, then the Facebook is a waste of time. Vice versa, if you're marketing to people who are not professionals, like think about divorcing women who may or may not be professionals, may or may not be in the workforce, you want to be on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so you see what I mean? Like it's who you're marketing to and what your marketing message is and what your marketing channels are. All that's the next step. And then finally building strategic partnerships. Who is going to help us grow the business? Is it going to be professionals? Is it going to be associations? Is it going to be uh, uh, particular social groups that might be where our niche people hang out, right? It's understanding where we want to spend our time building relationships that with people who are going to be able to continue a stream of referrals and introductions to us. I'm going to just again take a sip of water here. If anybody has any questions, this would be a good time to ask them if you want. If not, I'm just going to keep going. Okay, I'm going to keep going.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you talked a little bit about the divorcing women. Besides attorneys, is that kind of thinking like women support groups? It seems like you have a few guys who've worked in that area. We've sort of started to focus on that in the last few months. Thoughts?
Yes. Good question. Yeah. So for any niche, right? Some of these associations or relationships will be more apparent than others, but every niche has a group of people who are influencers. Okay, and I think you're right. In the divorce area, your divorce attorneys are going to be potentially the bread and butter of referrals, but there are seminar opportunities. There's second Saturdays. There's all sorts of allied professionals who were working in the divorce space, social workers, counselors. There are professional groups of, if you think about, what is the name of that? Well, you'll all know what I'm talking about if I just describe it. I can't think of the name of it, but it's when you have these groups that get together and they let like one or two people from each profession together, and you're supposed to give each other referrals and all that. Okay, so they have the same thing in the divorce arena where all the allied um, divorce professionals get together. Interestingly, there aren't versions of this in every major city. Probably only 10 or 12 cities in the country represented. So if you're in the divorce space, it would be something to look at. I don't remember the name of it right now, but it would be something to look at because you could probably start a chapter in your community and actually be the mover and shaker for your community in terms of getting people together. So, but again, I think these kind of groups of influencers exist in every niche. So really, once you identify the niche and start to think about what the client avatar, in other words, what the ideal client looks like, then you'll start to make connections as you work in this niche as to where those influences are and who you need to make relationships with. It's a great question. Thank you.
You.
Okay, some examples of niches. People always come to me and say, "I don't have a niche." I'm like, "Okay, you might, it might not be apparent, but everybody probably has a niche that they can identify if they look hard enough." So life event niches, right? This is just like I work with people in divorce, retirement, inheritance, widowhood. Somebody called me; they want to work with widows, and I said, "Where are you?" He said, "Boca Raton, Florida." I said, "Perfect. It's a great place for that." Unfortunately, but that's a great market right there. So good niche and good geography. Professional niches, right? Working with doctors, engineers, senior partners at law firms. One of the women I work with, women advisors, has a lot of senior partners at law firms and great niche to be in. Wealth profile niches. This would be like what I was talking about. So for me, it was when I was selling insurance, life insurance, it was 50 million or more. Why was it 50 million or more? First of all, I had the skill set, but second of all, that's where I could make money and do a lot of good. Okay, so obviously, if you've got capabilities, let's capitalize on them. But be clear, like I used to be clear with everybody who was an influencer for me, that 50 million was it was a hard no under that. Okay. You could send me somebody with 30, I know this is going to sound silly, but you could send me somebody with 30 million and I'll talk to them, but I won't take them on as a client. And the reason was I couldn't make any money. I could help them, but I couldn't. It's got to be win-win, right? You have to be able to make money. You're in business to make money, and you're providing a service which benefits those people who get the service. It's got to work both ways. Um, Other examples, lifestyle and social niches. You see some examples on the screen here. I think about golf as like the cliche, but it could be anything. It could be your church, your synagogue. It could be um, uh, museums. It could be symphonies. It could be anything that you're interested in your life that you love hanging around with these people. I once worked with an advisor who was in the horse community. Okay. Again, another great place. People who can afford horses and riding and doing that kind of all that jumping and that kind of stuff. Those people are connected to money somewhere. Okay. So again, another but she loved horse riding, and so there was a perfect match for her. I'm not going to go through all these. You can see them. You'll see more of this on the worksheet that we send out afterwards, but just some ideas. This is my favorite, um, and not necessarily the most financially successful, although certainly it was that. But it's just one of my, I think, my most interesting advisor stories, which is Taco Tuesday. I was working with a guy who was not too far into his career, let's say 3 or 4 years, and was doing okay at that level, but not great. And he wandered into a niche. It was completely accidental, wasn't intentional at all. He got a client who was one of the salespeople at a fairly large company, corporation, whatever, in his city, and did a good job on them. And his client, who was in the sales department, said, "Hey, listen, could you talk to some of my other buddies in the sales department? They could use you." He said, "Sure." And he said, "There's a Mexican restaurant downstairs in our building. Could you meet us there for lunch?" And and the advisor said, "Sure." So he went down there, had lunch with these guys. They all became clients. And he said, "Hey, is there more people here like you in this building?" And they said, "Yeah, there's several hundred people like us in this building." He said, "Well, if I had a buffet set up here in this Mexican restaurant, would you invite other people to come down and hear me talk for 10 or 15 minutes to see if they'd be interested in becoming clients?" And of course, they love this guy, so they said, "Sure." So that's what he did. Every Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, he would set up for lunch down in this restaurant at the on the in the lobby of this building, and people would come down from the company, and he'd give them free lunch, and he would talk for 10 or 15 minutes and sign people up. Um, One day, the director of human resources came down and had lunch and became a client, and then she started talking it up at the executive level. So this has been a hugely successful strategy that this guy has now used with other corporations in his city, and anybody could use, right? It's kind of a weird niche, but Taco Tuesday could be your niche. Okay. So first step, get your niche, right? Second step, get organized. There are, lots of resources for getting organized here. Thinking about who your client is. If you hopefully you've got one or two clients, thinking about what their needs are, thinking about how you serve them, thinking about how you would design an ideal onboarding process, an ideal service model, if all you were going to do is work with people like this, right? So if you were working with partners at a giant law firm, or working with the Taco Tuesday corporate people, right? You're gonna have this down, right? You've got your how I meet people, what my fit process is, what my fit meeting looks like, what my onboarding process looks like, what documents I need to get, what I already have because I'm already doing work in this corporation. So there's some stuff I don't need, which also provides instant credibility when you can say, I already know everything there is to know about your documents in your corporation, et cetera. And then what your service model is, how you're going to service these people going forward, knowing that they're pretty much all the same type of client. Okay, so building that out, now all of a sudden, again, you could hire people to execute that for you if you wanted to withdraw and become more of a manager in your business. Not to say that you have to, but or maybe you're out doing business development, or maybe you're working on optimizing your business. I mean, depending on what your unique ability is, what your skill sets are, what you love doing, right? You now all of a sudden have choices because you have a process that can be run not just by you, by other people. I was talking about this yesterday with an advisor, and I said, you know what? The owner of McDonald's does not make the French fries, which I had heard before, but he hadn't. It was news to him. And he's like, that's fantastic. That's exactly what I want to be. I don't want to be making French fries every day. Okay, great. Let's write down how you make French fries. That way you can hire somebody to come in, take them out of the bag, put them in the basket, stick them in the grease, press the 3-minute button, and wait until it dings. Okay, some resources. If you're in the mastermind group, you automatically get access to all of the Pareto Systems materials, all the videos, all the templates, etc. If you're not in the mastermind group, or if you're not in one-on-one coaching with Pareto, a book I would strongly actually, I recommend this book whether you're in or not, The Advisor Playbook. This is a book written probably 10 years ago by Duncan McPherson. Fantastic book. Okay, lots of great process material in there. So, I mean, if you're at the level where that's where you want to be, you want to kind of like do it yourself, I would get that book if you don't have it already. Obviously, you could do one-on-one coaching with Pareto Systems. A little bit more efficient from a dollar standpoint would be Pareto Mastermind. And then other things like look at other niche practitioners and study them. What kind of processes do they use? And then there's always associations. So like, for example, there's a certified divorce financial analyst certification where they'll teach about processes. There's a certified exit planner, right? There's all sorts of certifications where they can help you build out your processes in a specific niche. Okay, great. I'm going to stop again for a second and have a water and see if there's any other questions. Okay, awesome. All right, so this is a great time of year for this, right? This is the time that people are setting goals. And I'm going to just take a second here. Well, over the holidays, I read a book called Science of Scaling by Benjamin Hardy. If you want to like bend your mind, get the book. And I mean that in a good way. One of the most impactful things I learned out of that book was his concept of time as a tool. Time as a tool. Okay. So a lot of you are setting goals for the year. This is a little bit of a digression, but trust me, indulge me for a second. A lot of you are probably setting goals, doing business plans, or had recently done that in December, whatever the case might be. And in a lot of cases, you might have set 3-5-year goals, maybe 10-year goals. What I learned from this book is this idea of take those goals and accelerate them. So if it's a 3-year goal, make it a 1-year goal. If it's a 5-year goal, make it a 3-year goal. The test of whether or not you've got the right time is if it makes you completely nervous and realizing that you've got to change a lot of things. Okay. I've had these discussions over the last week since we've all been back, and I've watched as advisors have started out, first of all, being baffled by my question. Like, if you could move this goal to get to $1 billion from 5 years to 3 years, what would you have to do different? From being baffled to being excited, and then all of a sudden to start being incredibly creative and thinking about new ways that they could operate their business in order to make that happen. Okay. So for anybody thinking about a niche, like I'm going to do this tomorrow or next week or next year or whatever, think about that time, right, as a tool. Say, forget it. I'm gonna decide my niche this week. I'm gonna start operating on it next week, right? Don't make this a 6 month thing. It doesn't have to be. Do it today. Put pressure on yourself to get it done. Think about creative ways to affect your business so that you can get to a much higher goal much faster. Fantastic book, right? Strongly recommend it. Okay. I've seen related to that, that's why I brought it up at this point. I've seen many times advisors like, we all die on the sword of good intentions. Okay. And I don't want to see that for people. When I coach people, my own metric is, are they achieving the goals that they've stated? Are their goals high enough? Do I need to challenge them? Right? That's my metric. If they're not, it's usually because of a couple different things. One, accountability. Like I'm not holding them accountable. They're not holding themselves accountable. So one of the things about a mastermind group is it's designed around accountability, goal setting, showing up, hitting your goals, being with other people who are hitting their goals and looking at you and fellow members, fellow peers to help them achieve their goals, to help them toe the mark, to help them stay accountable to themselves and to the group. So again, I think it's something that the mastermind provides. And of course, systems and templates and processes, absolutely. All of that can come out of the mastermind through the Pareto system, which is just loaded with materials that you need and is all included in the price. Okay, we're going to start this first group, niche marketing, in February. We meet every 4 weeks for between 60 and 90 minutes, depending on the size of the group. We do a monthly office hours, so you can come in and ask whatever questions you want. As I mentioned, you get Pareto systems included, which if you bought it on your own would be the same price. So I don't know why you wouldn't join a mastermind group for the same price. And we focus on these different things. I've got the planned content here for the first 6 months. You can see it here. I'm not going to go through this, but it'll be on the video, and everybody has access to the video. So if you want to come back and look at this, feel free to get more detail. But these are the things that we're covering, not just in this group, but in the other mastermind groups that I run. And I can, like I said, I can't probably guarantee success because I can't guarantee accountability and that people are going to do what they say they're going to do. But in these other two groups where people are doing what they say they're going to do, they're seeing fantastic success. I could give you some examples I'm going to give you an opportunity to schedule a call. If you want to hear some more examples, I can talk about some of the successes that have come out of this group. And interestingly, they're different. It's from a different angle than I see one-on-one coaching because of the exchange of experience and ideas that you see in a mastermind group. Okay, so if you've hung on this long, who is this for? Somebody who likes the idea of a niche, but isn't really sure how to do it, and would like to do it faster because they want to work with other people who know what they're doing. If you have inconsistent client flow, if you're one of those people that's like, I get clients, but I never know where they're coming from, maybe this is for you. For people who are spending money on marketing and not getting any demonstrable, measurable results, this could be for you. And if you're ready to scale your practice, we've got several people in mastermind groups who are like, I want to get to that point where my business is self-managing, where I can go live in St. Thomas for 3 months and not have to worry about things falling through the cracks, that everything's going to work great. And I can continue to grow this business and continue to take more time off. One of the guys I work with, he's like, my goal in 2025, which I hit, was to not work more than 25 hours a week. And next year's goal is to work even less. Okay, so if any of those are you or anything else sparked an interest, let me know. Monthly cost $4.99 a month, or if you pay for a year, we're just like all the big things on the internet. If you pay for a year, you get a month for free. Just to put this in context, my one-on-one coaching starts at $17.50. Most of my engagements one-on-one are 2,000 or more. So is a way to get in. You know, if you're not ready to spend that kind of money, this is a way to get in for a lot less. And in my way of thinking, sometimes it's even more valuable because of that peer-to-peer. Obviously, we all know how the math works in this business. One client at $1 million more than covers your investment. But uh, but again, you all can do the math. I mean, I don't need to tell the people on this call about that. Okay, on the Pareto Mastermind website, there are a ton of endorsements from people that I've actually worked with, people who are in mastermind groups. There's a couple of them here, but sometimes people like reviews and endorsements. And so if you want to see more, feel free to go on the website and take a look. Okay. The action item here, we're going to go into questions in just a second, but action item, if anybody has any questions. Action item, if you want to schedule a call with me, we do a 30-minute call, and it's like my fit process, right? Like, are you a good fit for Mastermind? Do you think you're a good fit? Why do you think you're a good fit? What do you hope to get out of it, right? It's just 30 minutes to talk with each other. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to try and answer them. You can use this link. We'll send you the link in the video, or you can just use the scan code, whatever makes sense. Okay, I'm going to just stop talking for a second and see if there's any questions. I do have a couple of questions that people have asked on other webinars, but that I might address, or some of them I've probably covered, but I'm going to stop for a sec. Okay. Let's see. I think I've covered a lot of this. Yeah, the last one I get asked a lot. Can I have two niches, or will I lose other referrals by specializing? Which are kind of related. So you can have two niches, you can have as many niches as you want, but the goal here is to, in my view, the reason to have a niche is to work less and make more money. So having two niches is just going to mean more work and probably less money because your own attention is going to be divided. So totally up to you. You could have 2, 3, 4 niches, but my experience tells me that one niche is best. Will I lose other referrals by specializing? That's up to you. I mean, people are still going to call you, but like I said earlier, you know, if I were me, I would have a fit process that would be targeted. And I wouldn't take people outside of that, which strengthens my brand and likely leads to more referrals and likely leads to more money and less work. So, okay, cool. I don't know that I have anything else. If you'd like to schedule a call, I'd love to talk to you. If this isn't for you at this time, that's fine too. Like I said, get the advisor playbook for like 20 bucks or whatever it is. That will give you a lot of resources to get going for very low money. And at some point, maybe a mastermind group or one-on-one coaching would be right for you, and awesome. That'd be great. All right. Any other questions before we sign off? Now's the chance.
Is the presentation going to be emailed to us?
It will be. Everybody who's on the thing will get an email with a link to the presentation and the worksheet that I talked about earlier on.
Great, thanks.
You bet. Okay, I don't want to keep you guys. If you have any questions or you want to schedule a call, please do. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great year and you kill it. And if I can help, let me know. Thanks a lot for coming in.